What is it to be an empath? A curse or a blessing? The Urban Dictionary would state, empath, a person who is capable of feeling the emotions of others, despite the fact that they themselves are not going through the same situation. Empath, the root of the word coming from empathy. Jane has empathy for Joe as he mourns the loss of his father. Jane may have lost her father in the past, but not recently. She is capable of feeling what Joe is feeling. This means that Jane is empathetic. It does not make her an empath. If we look at another dictionary, an empath is defined as a person with the paranormal ability to apprehend the mental or emotional state of another individual. While this is closer to the mark, it's still not there. So let's look at this properly. Empath to empath. Sensitives. Often empaths are defined as sensitives. And this is the spiritual psychological profile for what it is to be an empath. It does not mean people who show sensitivity or are sensitive to the needs of others. It means they are also psychically sensitive. Empaths not only pick up on and detect others' emotions, but they also, often unwittingly and unknowingly, absorb emotions of others. Energy shifters. Just like they absorb emotions, as a sponge would absorb water, they can also transfer energy. Empaths, when consoling someone, will actually transfer their energy to the other person. Now this results in the other person feeling a great sense of relief and emotional stability, but can lead to the empath being drained and physically and psychically weakened. It's critical that empaths are aware of their spiritual psychological profile, as they will be constantly affected by other people's energies. If aware of being an empath, you have much better control, or at least understanding of why your innate ability to intuitively feel and perceive others' feelings has such an impact upon yourself. The empath spiritual psychological profile. As an empath, your life will be unwittingly and often unknowingly influenced by others' desires, wishes, thoughts, and moods. This is much more than being highly sensitive and more than just sensing the emotional state of others. Being an empath brings with it the ability to perceive the physical sensitivities and spiritual urges of others, as well as sensing and knowing their unspoken motivations and intentions, apart from the narcissist, and we'll discuss the empath and narcissist relationship in another video. Empath spiritual DNA. Being an empath is part of you, your spiritual and physical DNA. You cannot learn to be an empath, just as you cannot stop being an empath. You are an empath, or you are not. Being an empath is a difficult life journey. As an empath, you will truly understand how to feel and, as is often the case, will take on the emotional state of others around you. This is often due to the empath's desire to heal, help, cure, and soothe, even at risk and disregard to yourself. Energy transference. Being an empath means you are constantly transferring energy, absorbing it from others and transferring it to others. With this comes the likelihood of physical energy transference issues. Absorbing emotion also leads to energy blockages and imbalance of the chakras and subtle bodies. Because of this, many empaths will experience imbalance and blockages in energy, leading to emotional physical symptoms and illnesses such as chronic fatigue, unexplained aches and pains, unknown stress, anxiety, and, if left unchecked, depression. All of the emotional physical symptoms of being an empath are not likely to be due to personal ill health, but due to outside influences. In reality, you are collecting emotional energy baggage from others. The emotional mirror. Empaths are usually achievers, most often quietly achieving while transferring the credit to others. They do not usually like public praise or compliments, and if given to them, will often respond by pointing out the positive attributes and qualities of someone else. This is because empaths don't usually get a chance to talk about their own personal feelings. Those they tend to associate with usually don't ask. However, they can and will usually be highly expressive if asked to discuss any matters pertaining to emotion. Empaths, when discussing emotions, will be very open about feelings, emotional connections, and very frank and honest. In other cases, almost the opposite extreme. Usually, for those struggling with being an empath, or if they're unaware of being one, they can be the polar opposite to our expectations. Some empaths become reclusive, and others are viewed as ignorant or unresponsive. And this is not a natural part of being an empath, but it's a natural reaction for anyone, particularly an empath, who is struggling to cope with the constant barrage of emotions and feelings being absorbed from others, while trying to discover where their own feelings and emotions actually fit. It's a blockage for self-protection. The externally focused empath. Empaths tend to focus on what is happening emotionally outside of them rather than inside of them. They focus and concentrate on others' emotional needs rather than their own. This leads the empath to taking on the role of peacemaker and looking to soothe tensions and emotions. Empaths are non-violent, non-aggressive, and any disharmony causes them great discomfort. Confrontation is not natural, and it causes distress to an empath, so they'll try to settle a dispute quickly, even if it means taking the blame and sacrificing their beliefs and their needs. Empaths aren't perfect, but if an empath loses control and speaks harshly or without the thoughts for the emotions of others, they recognize it, and they recognize it fast. That leads to them usually trying to resolve the situation. Unfortunately, they tend to try and do it straight away, which leads the other person not accepting or not being able to understand the sudden change of attitude. If causing emotional hurt to another, the empath resents themselves for their actions and will often continue to self-punish themselves mentally until they're assured of forgiveness. It's because when expressing or feeling, empaths are usually picking up on others' feelings and then projecting them back with no realization. This leads to the empath not being able to express their own feelings and leads to them bottling things up, not releasing held emotions, and putting up barriers to avoid others discovering their innermost thoughts and feelings. The next lecture will be about the emotions and the empath.